Hovsep Emin, one of the outstanding figures of Armenian public thought and liberation movement. Before the beginning of Hovsep Emin's activity, the principle of liberation through the support of foreign powers and the establishment of a national state prevailed in Armenian society. From his autobiographical materials, it is evident that Emin was a man with strong, independent views who relied on his own resources and was highly realistic. Therefore, it is crucial to study his socio-political activities closely to properly evaluate his approaches to the national liberation process and his stance toward foreign powers. Emin believed that armed struggle by the Armenian people was the key to success, but at the same time, he sought cooperation with foreign powers. Hovsep Emin was born in 1726 in the Iranian city of Hamadan. His ancestors had migrated and settled in Hamadan in the early 17th century during the forced relocation of Armenians from the Ararat Valley by Shah Abbas. Emin's father, a merchant, moved from Persia to Calcutta. Emin graduated from a local English college and established connections with English circles. Interested in the history of Armenians and familiar with the liberation struggles of Armenians in Syunik and Artsakh, he decided to contribute to Armenia's liberation while learning from European military experience. In 1751, against his father's wishes, Emin joined the crew of a ship of the East India Company and traveled to England. After about 7 months of travel, he reached London. Following numerous difficulties, he was accepted into the Royal Military Academy. To gain combat experience, Emin went to Germany and participated in the 7 Years' War against France and Austria as part of Anglo-Prussian forces. After the war ended, he returned to London and began crafting concrete plans to realize his intentions. He aimed to liberate both Eastern and Western Armenia through an all-Armenian uprising. Emin managed to meet the Prime Minister of England and present his plans. Realizing that his ideas for Armenia's liberation did not align with England's interests, he came to the conclusion that he needed to rely on his own efforts for the Armenian people's liberation. In 1759, Hovsep Emin departed for Armenia. In Erzurum, he visited many Armenian villages and discovered that the real situation in Armenia differed from what he had envisioned. According to Emin, he carried with him a copy of the History of Armenia by Moses Koronatsi, reading excerpts to the villagers and urging them not to heed calls for submission but to take up arms and rise against foreign oppression. Continuing his journey, Emin reached Etchmiadzin, where the Catholicos at the time was Hakab Shemiketsi. In Etchmiadzin, he faced hostile attitudes. Realizing that his plans could not be implemented under such circumstances, Emin returned to England to prepare more thoroughly before returning to Armenia. In London, he met with the Russian ambassador Golitsyn. Golitsyn provided Emin with a letter of guarantee addressed to Russia's Chancellor Mikhail Vorontsov. Emin then traveled to St. Petersburg, where he presented his plan for Armenia's liberation, which included forming an alliance with the Georgian King Erekle II. Vorontsov approved Emin's request and sent him to Georgia with a letter addressed to Erekle II. In March 1763, Emin arrived in Georgia and met Erekle. During a series of secret meetings, Emin explained his plan and proposed creating a strong Armenian-Georgian alliance. Emin made every effort to convince Heraclius of the necessity of this work and the subsequent governance of a free and united Georgian-Armenian state. He also advised the Georgian king to reprimand the nobility, address the needs of the people, open schools, and develop military skills based on European models. Emin stayed in Tiflis for several months and spent the summer in Kakheti with Heraclius. While in Georgia, Emin corresponded with the abbot of the monastery of St. Karapet in Mash, Hovhan, and with the Meliks of Artsakh. Abbot Hovhan informed Emin that many Western Armenians were eager to fight for the liberation of their homeland. In letters written to Emin from Mash, it was stated that all the necessary conditions for a victorious uprising existed in Western Armenia. Here is an excerpt from the letters the abbot wrote to Emin in 1763.
The Assyrians and Yazidis will join us as well. They have all sworn to fight under your command for 10 years without any material expectations. And if you do not succeed with Heraclius, my paternal advice to you is this: never lose hope. You must be the one to free the Armenian people from the chains of slavery and suffering. I pray to God to keep and protect you for the glory of Armenia.
In 1764, Emin and Erkal sent encouraging letters to Hovsep, but the messenger was arrested in Yerevan by the Khan's men. Learning of this, Catholico Simeon I of Yerevan expressed dissatisfaction with Erkal for his reckless actions, which could provoke Persian retaliation against the Armenians. Consequently, Erkal demanded that Emin leave Georgia. Disheartened and discouraged, Emin left Georgia at the end of 1763 and moved to Dagestan.